Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's lair. I'm your host, Larry, the most delectable Chupacabra man, and we're back for some more indie first look action here today, taking a look at a $15 title called Dead Purge Outbreak, made by Microlith Games, that was billed to me originally as a game that combines a lot of different mechanics from games like Killing Floor 2, where you fight hordes of zombies or waves of enemies, and you have to try to survive while also being offered various different weapons to work with and various different maps and environments. What I can say is that the whole thing is a little janky and weird, to say the least. So we're gonna jump in and have a little look-see and see exactly what is going on. So we'll just pop into play. We'll play the Horde mode, which is the default mode. And I'll show you guys what this whole thing is all about. So we got a few different levels to choose from. Some different environments we can do battle in. We can fight in the suburbs. We can fight in the alleyways. We can fight in the nighttime suburbs. We can fight in a police station. We can fight in a back alley. We can fight at nighttime suburbs. In fact, that's really it. We got like sunset suburbs, nighttime suburbs, alleyway, by day, by night, and the police station. So in essentially just 3 different maps with a couple different time variations. So let's just start in the police station and we'll do the stuff with the things. Now, what I do know about this game, from what other people have found out about the title, and from what other reviewers have said, is that Dead Purge is a game that's made using asset flips or pre-bought assets, where everything in the game, graphics-wise, has been purchased. The notable difference between this and other titles is that they actually spent money on really good-looking assets instead of just cheapo ones that are really easy to flip and make your money back by putting out stuff on Steam. It's not bad. I mean, I certainly could care one way or the other whether or not you used really bad assets or really good assets, because what I've said before, especially when it comes to indie titles, I'm more interested in what you do with them as opposed to where you got them, who made them. Because if you think about it, if you're like a small indie team and you briefly hire a really nice artist to just make you a bunch of models really quickly that don't necessarily have to be supremely cohesive, that's basically the same thing. The only difference is you've worked directly with the person instead of just grabbing whatever you could find. So Dead Purge, the idea here is you just have your standard assortment of weapons and you're shooting zombies. That's really about it. We've got this gun, we've got an Uzi, and we've got a Stab-a-majig. That's everybody's favorite, the Stab-a-majig by Ronco. Hey, first customers. So yeah, we just survive waves of zombies that just kind of appear out of seemingly nowhere. And then if we get a good headshot or a crit on them, they give us the good old-fashioned bullet time, or as we would have described it inside of Killing Floor 2, Zed time. And then of course we've got this lovely police station where we can do battle in. Although, the one major qualm I have just starting out in this game is that all of these environments are pretty samey, and it's really easy to end up in a corner, like in this room, where you think this would wrap around to one of the side rooms, but in fact, all it does is get you cornered in the back, and you end up fighting for your life, hoping that there's only 1 or 2 zombies left alive, and that the bullet spray doesn't completely fuck you over with this Uzi. And that's actually something that's always driven me nuts about Uzis in games, is just how much ridiculous spray these things have in between waves. So that's a big issue, is that these are very small maps where you can't really do a lot. So let me fill up my ammo. I might as well. I don't exactly have buku bucks to play with. I'll give myself a couple magazines of ammo, then we'll get out of here. Now, one of the reasons why I ended up having to wait to do this review was up until the most recent patch for this game, I was actually not able to interact with anything. Like, I couldn't talk to the drone. Even when I could manage to get the drone to open, I couldn't click on any buttons, and it would literally stick me and get me stuck in that drone's interface, and the drone is essentially just the vendor. It's like Killing Floor 2, where every time you get through a wave, the vendor appears, although I kind of want the vendor's minigun, and then it just disappears back up through the ceiling or into the sky, depending on where you're at. So basically, very standard fare, all things considered. You get some guns, you shoot some zombies. They get more difficult as you go along from what I believe I have seen in the trailer. And yeah. Now, what this game is trying to compete with is it's trying to bill itself as something that's in the same repertoire as, say, Killing Floor 2. What I can say is the thing that makes Killing Floor 2 really good isn't just the fact that you kill a bunch of shit in a horde shooter. You could get that in Killing Floor 1 and only buy it for $1 on a Steam summer sale. No, the real difference here is that Killing Floor 2 offers you a bunch of different classes, they all have specialized weaponry, and this game only offers you just some generic person with human flesh and organs, delicious organs. That's what all the zombies are here for. They crave it, they love it. And then you could do different cool things with all that equipment. It causes really interesting combinations to fight different really specialty monsters that all really want to get in touch with your organs. And that causes very interesting team playing mechanics. This game, on the other hand, it's a really good looking generic zombie shooter that happens to look pretty good. And that's actually something that the developers have mentioned, is like, yes, we know we're not hiding the fact that we're using assets that are made by somebody else. The defense is simply that they picked really good ones, and they argue they've done a pretty good job with what they've got. I would say that graphics alone does not particularly sell a game. Certainly not just another zombie game, by any means. So what are you left with? You're just left with a horde mode and an endless survival mode that don't really do anything super crazy or interesting. That's basically what you got. So I'm gonna fill up my weaponry here. I'm gonna try and save up some money for a better, cooler weapon, but it basically just looks like you've offered the same generic assortment of military-style weapons, which on the surface aren't bad, per se, but boy, do they get boring relatively quickly. Whereas games like Killing Floor, you've got loads of weapons, you've got melee weapons, you've got, ranged weapons, you've got mid-range weapons, you got machine guns, shotguns, flamethrowers, rocket launchers, explosives. This thing, it's kind of like a SWAT game where you end up killing zombies. So again, it's not terrible, but boy, is it not crazy interesting either. So here's what I'm gonna try and do. I'm gonna try and lag out my computer by slowly cutting around a bunch of these bad boys and seeing if that will okay, hopping over the crawlers is a little more difficult than I anticipated. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get them all, like, cordoned off together so that I can grenade them. I'm gonna be a fancy boy with my fancy machine gun. There we go, that's the stuff. Everybody line up, kids. That explosion didn't look as bad as I thought it would. Sometimes when you use pre-made assets, because you're not the person that created them, it winds up looking really weird and gross when you put things like particle effects together with it. But I will say, if that's what they focused on, it's holding up pretty okay. Like, it looks pretty good, but it also kind of looks like a proof of concept demo from the people that make, like, the Unreal Engine or the Unity Engine. It looks good, but it's pretty skin deep. Actually, I'm about to die here, aren't I? I'm also really getting bugged by the fact that I'm getting caught up on every single piece of terrain right now. Like, I'm getting clipped on, like, the flag, on these water coolers, on the couches, just by walking a little bit too close to them, so I don't know. It seems like this game probably could have done with a little bit of time in early access, or if it was on early access, that maybe it could have done with a little bit more time on there. Because for this price point, $15, I am expecting a little bit more than just graphics. Because again, graphics aren't especially hard to emulate. They're just hard to run on certain computers. So in fact, let's jump out of here. Let's go back to the main menu. And what's research? You can research different stuff. It looks like you can research different ammo for shotguns. So you can actually unlock different weapons and abilities as you go. But I'm worried that the gameplay is just too repetitive and too plain Jane boring for any of this to be really worthwhile. Like, I've played a bit of this already to do a little bit of unlocking. But aside from that, I mean, none of this stuff is really that cool. Oh, cool, we get an armored tactical vest. Extra 25 health, but again, none of this is really gimmicky. I'm looking for like really fun gimmicks like zombies explode, zombies fight each other, zombie pheromone canisters. There's a lot of different stuff you could do in a game like this that I'm just not seeing. So this one is less of a wave shooter, and this one is more of just a battle it out at nighttime kind of deal. Let's try out the alleyway at night and see what this is like before we get out of here. So, like, it's not terrible, but boy, is it generic. Like, it just looks good. It's generic and pretty. And I'm wondering, moving forward, if we're gonna see a lot more games like this going on to Steam, where people before were trying to sneak through the greenlight process without spending a lot of money with a lot of asset flip stuff that ended up being kind of boring. But maybe we're gonna start seeing like really pretty asset flip style games that have some basic gameplay that works decently well, but just isn't all that interesting. So I'm actually starting to get a little bit of a frame drop as I enter the alleyway here. Probably because of all these crazy reflections and the rain. I will mention that I put everything, every detail in this game up to ultra crazy just to showcase it at its most beautiful. Ooh, we got something. What was that? Hello, friends. How are you? Oh shit, I'm running into Zambers. Just to showcase just how pretty this game can look, because even on like medium quality textures and everything, this game still looks pretty good. Like, I was thoroughly impressed by that factor, because a lot of games at this price point don't really care. So what is this? Can I have this? What is this? This is ammo for something I don't have, like, apparently. So instead of going to a drone, it looks like I'm just trying to scavenge materials from the environment. Do these barrels explode? Oh shit, they do. Which, that just did... What? I was like, oh, you're alive. Hi, friend. I'm gonna say, those barrels are really close. They do a lot of damage from a really far away. That is kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I wanted to showcase how pretty this game looks. Not always something you get at this price point, and it's always interesting to see. So yeah, this is just wait, or try to survive as long as you can before eventually the zombies outrun your really good luck with RNG. Nothing terribly crazy. I am, of course, playing this game without sound because I found it a little bit distracting. Sound design, I will give credit, is on point. Stuff sounds like it should. Oh, I'm liking this level even better already. There's a sex shop. Fuck yeah. And I can go to this Indian Yoshi restaurant. I can eat some of that animal from the Mario games. I see absolutely no problem here. So where's all my Zombros at? Okay, this is a much better level. There's actually some wraparound areas that are nice and open feeling. And that's something that Killing Floor 2 has down pat. There's a lot of areas in Killing Floor 2 where you can get yourself stuck in a corner, but if you really pay attention and explore your surroundings, there's places where you can bottleneck zombies, or in that game, the mutant clones that the villains have created. And this game just doesn't have that. This is definitely a much more generic feeling map system. A lot like the rest of the game. Like, it's not terrible, but boy is it not that interesting either. Oh, and this mode, every level Every time you complete a wave, you survive for a little bit longer. Okay. Well, I think I've seen all I need to see. It's okay. If you can get this game on a sale, by all means, I think you might have some fun with it. Especially if you like zombies. That said, it's another plain Jane zombie shooter. I really can't recommend this. It's a bit expensive for yet another zombie horde shooter. Sure, it looks pretty, but again, that alone does not validate a higher price tag, or even anything. So that's it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host, Larry. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Bye, everybody, and have a good one.